Picture this, a man, intelligent, charming, but unnoticed by the women around him. A man who has time and again been left in the shadows, overlooked for no fault of his own. This is the tale of such a man. We'll call him Jack. Jack had it all in terms of personal attributes. He was smart, a quick wit, had a magnetic personality, and a heart full of kindness. Yet for some inexplicable reason, he was the perennial wallflower in the grand dance of romance. Women, for some reason, just didn't notice him. They walked past him as if he was invisible, their eyes and hearts drawn towards others. Jack tried everything. He wore the best clothes, read the best books, attended the best parties. He showered women with attention and respect, listened to them, empathized with them. He was always there, a comforting presence, a shoulder to lean on, a friend to confide in, but that was all he ever was, a friend. The harsh sting of rejection was a constant companion to Jack. He watched in silent despair as the women he desired, the women he respected, the women he loved, chose others over him. And it wasn't as if he was competing with men who were better than him. On the contrary, it seemed to Jack that these women were choosing men who were less deserving, less caring, less loving. But this wasn't a story of self-pity. Jack wasn't the kind of man who wallowed in sadness or surrendered to despair. He was a fighter, a man of resilience. He knew he deserved better, and he was determined to get it. The world might have ignored Jack, but Jack wasn't about to ignore himself. He was about to embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. He was about to delve into the mysteries of the human psyche, to learn the secrets that made men irresistible to women. But this man, let's call him Jack, wasn't the kind to give up easily. Jack stumbled upon a book about dark psychology and its power in influencing people. Dark psychology, for those unfamiliar, refers to the study of the human condition in relation to the psychological nature of people to prey upon others. It delves into manipulation, persuasion, and influence, tools that can change a person's perception, decisions, and behavior. Now you might be thinking, isn't this a bit sinister? Well, yes and no. Like any tool, it can be used for both good and evil. In this case, we're looking at how these techniques can be used to attract women. The power of dark psychology lies in understanding and responding to the primal needs and desires of the human mind, in this case the female mind. These techniques don't involve trickery or deceit, but rather they focus on highlighting and enhancing one's natural allure. Armed with this knowledge, Jack decided to put these techniques into practice. Jack started to implement the first 5 powerful tips he learned from his study. Our hero, Jack, started his journey by applying the first tip: observation. He began to pay close attention to the women around him, their likes, dislikes, and even their subtle behavioral patterns. Jack was no longer just a passive participant, but an active observer in his social interactions. The second tip was empathy. Jack learned to put himself in their shoes, to understand their feelings, their fears, and their desires. By empathizing, he was able to establish a deeper connection, making the women feel seen and understood. The third tip was reciprocity. He started giving before expecting anything in return. A kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or just his time and attention. This made the women feel valued and appreciated, increasing their inclination towards him. The fourth tip was influence. Jack began to subtly guide the conversation, steering it towards topics that could create a bond. He discovered that shared experiences and common interests were powerful tools for creating an emotional connection. And the fifth tip, mystery. Jack learned to keep certain things about himself under wraps. He knew that revealing too much, too soon could make him seem predictable or uninteresting. By maintaining a sense of mystery, he kept the women intrigued and wanting to know more. Jack began to apply these tips, like an artist carefully crafting his masterpiece. He observed, empathized, gave, influenced, and maintained an air of mystery. And soon, he started to see the fruits of his labor. Women who had once overlooked him now seemed interested and engaged. There was a spark in their eyes, an air of intrigue that hadn't been there before. Yet Jack knew he was just at the beginning of his journey. These first few steps had brought about some changes, but he knew that to truly transform his interactions, he had to delve deeper into the realm of dark psychology. He was ready to learn more, to apply the next set of tips. Jack began to notice some changes, but he knew he had to do more. Determined, Jack moved on to the next 5 powerful tips. The sixth tip was all about harnessing the power of reciprocity. Jack started to do little favors for the women around him, always subtle, always unexpected. And guess what? It's human nature to want to give back when you receive. And this principle started to work in Jack's favor. The seventh tip revolved around the law of scarcity. Jack realized he needed to show that his time was valuable, that he wasn't always available. The less he was around, the more women started to notice him, to seek him out, to value the moments he was present. Tip number 8 was about the power of commitment and consistency. Jack started to show he was a man of his word, reliable and trustworthy. He stuck to his promises, no matter how small they were. This consistency began to build a sense of trust and security in the women he was interacting with. The ninth tip was about using the principle of liking. Jack started to find common ground with the women, shared interests, shared experiences. This tip was all about building bridges, fostering connections, and it worked. Women began to see him as someone they could relate to, someone they could trust. And finally, the 10th tip was about the authority principle. Jack didn't become bossy or arrogant. Oh no, he simply started to demonstrate competence, to show he was good at what he did. This gave him an air of authority, of confidence, and women found this incredibly attractive. With these 5 new tools in his arsenal, Jack started to see a change. Women weren't just noticing him, they were seeking him out. They were returning his favors, valuing his time, trusting him, connecting with him, and respecting him. Jack was starting to get attention, but would it be enough? With all 10 tips in his arsenal, Jack was a changed man. This wasn't the same Jack who was once overlooked and ignored. He was no longer the unnoticed man standing in the shadows, but a man who commanded attention and respect. The transformation was nothing short of astounding, and it all began with a shift in his mindset. Jack's journey began with understanding the power of dark psychology. He learned that the key to unlocking a woman's interest wasn't in flashy clothes or a quick wit, but in mastering his own mind. Jack learned to exude confidence, not arrogance, to be assertive without being domineering. He began to listen more than he spoke, understanding that being genuinely interested in others was a powerful magnet. His newfound knowledge of dark psychology allowed him to tap into hidden triggers that made him more attractive to women. He learned to create an air of mystery that piqued curiosity, revealing just enough about himself to keep them intrigued, but not so much that the mystery was dispelled. He learned to show empathy, to mirror their feelings, and create a deep emotional connection that was impossible to ignore. Jack's transformation was not just limited to his interactions with women. He began to apply these principles in all areas of his life. His relationships improved, he became more successful in his work, and he even began to like himself more. His change was not an overnight miracle, but a gradual process that required patience and persistence. Above all, Jack's transformation taught him the importance of authenticity. He realized that while the tactics of dark psychology could be powerful, they were nothing without genuine respect and empathy. He learned that the most powerful attraction was not manipulation, but genuine connection and understanding. And just like that, the unnoticed man was unnoticed no more. Jack had transformed from a man who was ignored to a man who was admired. He had discovered the power of dark psychology, and in doing so had found his true self. The change was profound, not just in how women perceived him, but in how he saw himself. Jack, once ignored, had now become irresistible to women. His transformation was nothing short of remarkable, a testament to the power of dark psychology. Remember the man who was overlooked, who was invisible in the eyes of women? That man was long gone. In his place stood a man who knew how to capture hearts, to charm with his words, to lead with his actions. Women were drawn to him, captivated by his newfound confidence and allure. Jack had mastered the art of persuasion, of influence, and of understanding the depths of the human psyche. He was no longer the man seeking attention. He was now the man commanding it. He was no longer the man ignored. He was now the man desired. His journey from obscurity to recognition, from rejection to acceptance, was a testament to the power of dark psychology. It was proof that anyone could change their fate, could rewrite their story. In the end, Jack proved that with the right techniques, no man has to be unnoticed.